Hi, still Garnet, and we are still in the basic concepts section of the Neuro Light Practical Guide for Beginners. If you're following on paper or digitally, this is page 6. I say it's like eating a meal. Boy, this is a huge basic concept, and I've tried to reduce the whole information appreciation down to an analogy. I hope the analogy works as a shortcut, especially if you reflect on it. We all want magical results, and in many ways results can seem magical. When I mean magical, I mean apparently not following what I'll call nature's way. And with the Neuro Light, actually with any kind of neuroplastic methodology, this is even spiritual, I mean, to the subtleties, let alone the psychological or the physical or all the ways we cut ourselves into pieces. The idea that is there an evolution? Is there a process here? Or can we do something that kind of circumvents all of what growth and learning is about? I think there are ways of making shortcuts, shorter ways. I don't know if shortcut is the best term, but why I say I would like you to reflect upon the fact that neuroplastic techniques in general, sensory by category, and specifically here the Neuro Light as an instrument, that the way that the effects take place are natural. We can't avoid that. You know, we can force certain things. We can try to, I don't know, bend nature to our own will, but as soon as you release it, it bounces back to its nature. So why do I say a Neuro Light session is like eating a meal? Okay. When you have the light and sound, I compare that to sitting down and having the food, eating the meal. And of course, there's a lot of experience there. There's the satisfaction, hopefully, in general, the tastes and the smells and the colors and the textures, and that is a potent, wonderful experience in and of itself. But eating should be. I mean, basically, it's more than oral entertainment, and the Neuro Light is more than visual auditory entertainment. It is something that is set in motion, so that when you eat a meal, what I say about the Neuro Light session is enjoy it, consume it in every positive way. But this is not exactly true, but for the sake of the analogy, when you finish eating, that's when digestion begins. When the light and the sound end, that's really the beginning of the process. The eating, it's not really the beginning of the process, it's the beginning of the benefit. It's hard to really nail it down, to be precise. The analogies are like a little loose. But the light and the sound ending is not the end of the experience. When you finish eating, consuming, chewing, and swallowing, and tasting and all, that's not the end of it. The digestion process begins, the breakdown, the beginning of the integration process. So following the eating analogy, you eat the food, digestion, and after enough digestion and breakdown, then there's the process of assimilation. And the assimilation is when the nutrients reach basically the delivery systems of the blood and the cell targets, and then you actually get the benefit of why you eat in the first place, other than enjoyment or entertainment, the endpoint utilization of why we eat. A Neuro Light session, actually any neuroplastic method, in this case the Neuro Light, any Neuro Light and sound session is like eating a meal, meaning that, I guess, how you set the meal up, your attitude, stop running around, sit down, relax, how you come into the session, how you prepare yourself for the meal, maybe the whole socialization, relaxation process. Then you eat, and then the digestion begins, which leads to the assimilation, which leads to the eventual benefit. And you know that this is something that basically takes place over the course of at least a number of hours. That's why the Neuro Light session, when you have it, is followed immediately by, the beginning of the digestion, what I call the 2-hour grace period, the potentiated hyperplastic state that lasts an hour or two. It's not like exactly 2 hours, but that hour or two is the period of that potentiated state. So don't ruin your digestion by going running immediately after finishing your meal or having a big stressful argument. The idea is use that period to enhance the process that's begun, and then know that it's going to be something that will be integrating over the course of probably the whole circadian cycle, meaning 12 to 24 hours. And oftentimes a person will begin to appreciate that some of the more evident effects at a level of benefit, experience, can certainly happen when you're enjoying the meal or the Neuro Light session, but you're going to feel shifts and changes as a consequence. You eat poorly or a bunch of stupid food, beyond a treat level, and then, later on you still feel so well. It's like, whoa, do you really connect it with the fact that you were unwise in your eating? Maybe, maybe not. Or you start to feel better. It's like, I'm feeling much better. And do you really connect it with your changes in food choice? Well, it kind of depends on your education and your expectation. I would encourage you to recognize that the manner in which brain stimulation kind of processes does have a time element. And during this kind of, sine wave-like period, different qualities are going to begin to emerge, and some of those qualities require processing, require time. And in that way, although when you sit to eat a meal, there is a simultaneous, instantaneous experience of when you put whatever it is in your mouth, chew, taste, smell, and swallow, that this is a part of a process. Obviously a critical part, maybe the most evident part, but because it stands out the most doesn't mean that it is the only. So this is why I say, at a level of a basic concept, working for yourself, working with other people, help yourself and help them understand that this is designed by nature, and that it follows nature. It doesn't somehow jump out of nature and then jump back in again with a good result, and it didn't follow any kind of process. So, eating a meal. Use any analogy that you want. I usually use this one, as I am. I put it here in the basic concepts for the beginner's guide. And this is a good kind of analogy, I think, to give to people that you're working with as a basic concept. I think the two that work really well, at least for my mind, one is this eating a meal business. Prepare for the meal, eat your food, digest, assimilate, utilization. The other is the way that our bodies respond to exercise. The way a little bit goes a long way, the way that you do something basic, your vitality increases. You can do something for help right now, you can shape your body over time. I think physical exercise, because it's kind of understandable, and eating a meal, also pretty understandable, are good ways to help ourselves understand the way that neuroplasticity and the Neuro Light works. The truth is they happen to be analogies. on a level of concept, but they work so well as analogies because actually they're following precisely the same laws or behaviors or rules of nature. Same thing. Thanks very much.